Hey guys, and welcome back to this brand new After Effects tutorial. In today's video we are going to animate this vector file in Adobe After Effects by using some simple animation techniques. We will also learn what are the animation principles we are going to apply to this animation so it will look more cooler. So watch this video till the end to learn something new. So without wasting any more time, let's get started. Okay, so first of all, here we are in Adobe Illustrator. Now I have this illustration file over here. I got this from freepik.com. Link is available in the description, so you can download it later. Now first of all, I have to create some new file, so I'll go to the file option and I'll choose new. Shortcut key is Control N, so simply click on it. Make sure to RGB mode is on, and width let's choose 1920, height let's choose 180, and simply hit create. So it will create a new document. Now go over here and hit Ctrl A to select all of them, hit Ctrl C to copy them, go to the new file and press Ctrl V to paste. By holding shift, I'm going to increase the size of it and I'll adjust it somewhere around over here. Now we have one extra background over here, so simply I'll select this and I'll hit delete. Now as you guys can see, each and every object is on the same layer. Now I need all of them on the separate layer. So first of all, I'll select this person, I'll hit Ctrl X to cut it out, I'll create a new layer and I'll press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place, and I'm gonna hide this. Now over here you will get this down arrow, so simply click on it. Over here we have two groups, so let's again click down arrow, and now as you guys can see, each and everything is on the separate layer. So what we are gonna do, whenever you are going to touch this group, over here you will get this icon called click to target. Simply click on it, so it will select all of them. Then we will go over here and we will choose release to layer sequence and simply click on it. Now all of them are properly in the layer, so by holding shift, I'm going to first select this and then hold shift and then select this one, and we will simply drag it in middle of this layer 2 and layer 1, so all of them are on the separate layer. Now if you see, we can select each and every one individually. Okay, so these things are on the separate layer. So now what we can do, if you want, you can do some other stuff also over here. Right now I will select this one, right click, and I'll ungroup this. I want this illustration on the separate layer, so by holding shift, I'm going to select this file and then this, hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. Okay, so this is thing on the separate layer. Now this is as you guys can see, this is something related to video. So now I want these things are on the separate layer, so right click and choose ungroup. We will select this one and this one. By holding shift, I'll hit Ctrl X, I'll create a new layer, I'll press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place. Similarly, I'll select this icon, I'll hit Ctrl X, I'll create a new layer, I'll press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place. Let's hide this too, and we have one white strip over here, and simply hit Ctrl X. Let's enable these two layers again, and we will create a new layer on the top of it, and I'll press Ctrl Shift V to paste in place. Then we have this play button, so hit Ctrl X, create a new layer and press Ctrl Shift V. Okay, now these things are on the separate layer. We have this thing over here, but we will learn how to animate this thing later. We have to use some different approach to animate this. Right now I'll choose keep it as it is as a reference. Also we have this cuboidal over here like this and this lines, and similarly I'll select this one, right click, ungroup, and we will select this and hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. Okay, so all of these small things are on the separate layer, and now I'm going to hide all of them because they are already on the separate layer, so I don't need to focus on them. Now I have this person over here, so I have to focus on this. So I'll select this, right click, and I'll choose ungroup. I'm gonna select this leg of this, but if you see, it's still selecting all of them, so we need to choose ungroup again. Then we will select this again, we will choose ungroup. We will choose ungroup until I'll get this separate selection of this leg. So I'll hit Ctrl X. Now I'll create a new layer at the downwards of this, and I'll press Ctrl Shift V. I'll call it as leg, and I'll hit OK. Right click and choose ungroup. Then I'll select this one, I'll hit Ctrl X, I'll create a new layer over here, I'll press Ctrl Shift V, I'll call it as foot, and I'll hit OK. Okay, let's hide this too now. Now we have this one, so select this, I'll hit Ctrl X. Sorry, as you guys can see, this portion is not selected, so make sure to select all of them. Hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. We will bring this downwards. Again, we will select this, right click, ungroup, and select this foot separately like this. Hit Ctrl X, go over here, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V, and let's call it as foot. Again, select this, let's call it as leg, and hit OK. And let's hide this again so we can focus on other stuff. Now we have this hand, hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. Then we have this portion, so right click, ungroup, select this one, hit Ctrl X, create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V. I'll call it as hand, hit OK, select this, and let's call it as arm, and we will hide both of them. Okay, so now we will select this one, I'll hit Ctrl X, I'll create a new layer, press Ctrl Shift V, and let's call it as hand, and hit OK, and let's hide this. Then we have this and this, so let's select like this, and by holding shift I'm going to deselect this portion which is extra. I'll hit Ctrl X, go downwards and press Ctrl Shift V. I'll call it as hand and hit OK, and let's hide this. Now we have to select this portions also, so right click and choose ungroup, so and select those stuff, select this, right click, ungroup. So now select this thing separately by holding shift. I'll hit Ctrl X, I'll select this hand, and I'll press Ctrl Shift V on this hand. Okay, so now this is also done, and select this hand, and I'll bring this over here, and I'll hide these two also. Now we have this head, so let's select this head portion, and by pressing Ctrl X, I'll create a new layer, I'll press Ctrl Shift V, I'll call it as head and hit OK. I'll call this middle one called, let's say, chest, like this, and hit Ctrl 0 to make this whole thing fit. And now our each and every layer is on the separate layer. So that is for our illustration portion. Now we will focus on Adobe After Effects portion. So here we are in Adobe After Effects. Let's create a new composition. I'll call it as main animation. Width is 1920, height is 180, frame rate 30, duration 30, background color is white color. Simply hit OK. Go to choose grid and guide option and hit on title selection. Now press Ctrl I on your keyboard to select your Illustrator file. I'll select this. I'll go to the import as footage. I'll choose composition, return layers and sizes, and I'll simply hit import, and I'll bring my composition over here like this. Now double click to open this composition. Now what we need to do, we need to first of all select our person thing. So I'll select all the Illustrator layers which are related to that person, and I'll select all of them, and I'll press Ctrl Shift C, and I'll call it as person AI, and I'll simply hit OK, press F4 and click on this icon and double click to open this composition. Select all of them and enable this icon again. Okay, now we need to adjust the anchor points of each and every one. Now press Y on your keyboard to select your pen behind tool, and by holding shift we will move this anchor point over here. Now we will select this hand and we will move this anchor point over here. Select this hand and make it parent with this arm like this. Okay, now we will select this hand, we will move this anchor point over here. We will select this one and move this anchor point over here. We will select this hand with this hand, which is this one. Let's hit enter and let's call it as arm. Select this, hit enter, and we will delete this extra stuff. Okay, now we will select this head and we will move this anchor point over here, and we will make this parent with our chest like this. Select this hand and this hand also, this arm, and make it a parent with this chest. Select this arm and make it a parent with this chest. Now we have this leg, move this anchor point over here. Select this, move this anchor point over here. Select this foot and make it a parent with this leg. Select this leg and make it a parent with this chest. Now we have this hand, leg. Move this anchor point over here. Select this and move this anchor point over here. and make it parent with this leg. Select this leg and make it parent with this chest. Okay, now we will animate this chest first of all. So select this chest, press P, and because all of them are at the end of the day they all of are parent with this chest, so whenever I am going to move, each and everyone should start move. So first of all press R and let's rotate it like this. Let's create one keyframe, then press P, then create another keyframe and hit U to select both the keyframes. Go to 20 frames and I'm going to create another keyframes over here on both of them. And initially let's move this out of this composition, select those keyframes and hit F9. So you'll get something like this. Also go to the graph editor, select this, and by holding shift I'll move this over here like this, and let's move this to 1 second only like this. And now go over here and press W to choose your rotation tool, and we will rotate it like this. And at this point I will rotate it like this. So let's see, let's move this over here. Okay, and after a few frames let's again rotate it like this. Move this over here, this over here, go few frame forwards, again rotate it, go few frame back forward, again rotate it like this, go over here and again rotate it like this, go to 7 seconds and again rotate it like this. Okay, now after that I am going to select this leg and this leg, go to the start, press R for rotation. Let's rotate it like this, create one keyframe, go over here, let's move this legs like this, go over here, let's move this legs like this, go to this point, let's move this legs like this, over here like this, over here like this, over here like this, and at this point again like this, and select those keyframes and hit F9. Why I did that we will see in a few minutes. Now after this we need to select, let's hide the rotation properties of this legs. We will select this foot, I'll press R, let's create one keyframe over here and let's rotate it like this. Go over here, we should rotate it like this at this point, again like this, this point like this. Okay, so let's select all of them. So now if I see, I'll get something like this. Now we have to do this procedure for this hands also. So let's select both of them, press R for rotation, create one keyframe, go to this point, press W and rotate it like this, go over here like this, select those all the keyframes of this rotation and hit F9 and hit F9. Okay, now we have this head. Press our head, press R for rotation, let's create one keyframe, go over here, let's rotate it like this, over here let's rotate it like this, at this point like this. Okay, select those keyframes and hit F9. Now we have this hands again, select this hands, press R, create one keyframe, go over here, it should rotate like this, like this. Sorry. Okay, and now hit U. Now if I see this animation, I'll get this kind of weird stuff. But now what we need to do, I'm gonna select this leg and this leg and this foot also and hit U, go to the start, and all you need to do, simply hit page down button 2 times select this leg and this leg, and click on this rotation keyframes by holding shift, and I'll move those keyframes over here like this, and go to the start, select this rotation keyframes of this leg and move this over here. So we'll get the little bit of alternations in their animation. And if you want a little bit, you can simply select all the keyframes like this, and you can move them a little bit further. You can select them and you can move them a little bit further, so you will get this kind of alternations in your animations. You can do this thing with this foot also, but I don't think that is total necessary. You will get already this action over here. Now we have to follow this procedure for our hands. I'll hit U. I'll select those hand keyframes by holding shift, and I'll move them up to 5 seconds. I'll select this hand things keyframes and move them to 10 seconds like this, so we'll get this kind of actions over here. Then I'll select this arm things, I'll hit U, I'll select those keyframes. I'm select this keyframe also, zoom in, let's move this, select this arm things, let's move this over here, select this keyframes, and let's move this over here like this. So we'll get this kind of secondary actions over here. We will select this head now. I'll hit U, I'll select those keyframes and a little bit move this over here. Okay, so we will get this kind of animation. So this is just a simple way to animate this. Now let's select this person. We will go to the effect and presets panel. We will apply wiggle position effect on it. So we'll get this wiggle effect over here. So as you guys can see, this is a very simple thing to do. Now let's hide this person AI. Now we have to focus on this stuff. So let's hide this thing for now, and we will select this all those video related stuffs, and let's select all of them. Okay, so let's select all of them. I'll press Ctrl Shift C. I'll call it as video only, and simply click on it and click on this icon, double click to open this, select all of them. I'll press S for scaling option. Let's create one keyframe, zoom in up to 10 keyframes. Let's create another keyframe, go to the start and let's make this 0. Select those keyframes, hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph and holding shift move this handle over here. So we'll get something like this. Let's move this keyframes to 25. Now we have to hit page down button 2 times, select this, move this over here, select this, move this over here, sorry, like this. Now select this, press Y, and by holding Control I'll move this anchor point over here, and at this point I'll unlink this and I'll move this keyframe over here. Select this point, press V, and let's move this over here. Now let's select this scale, hit page down button, create one keyframe over here, and by holding Control I'll create one keyframe over here. Select this, press P, create one keyframe, zoom in a little bit, and let's go to around 6 seconds. I'll select this and I'll increase the size of this on x-axis. Select this and I'll move this over here. So we'll get this kind of playing animation for this stuff. Okay, so this is for this one, and let's hide this. Now we have this coins over here and I want falling animations for them, so I'll select both of them and I'll bring them at the top. Press P for position, create one keyframe, zoom in a little bit, go to 20 frames, create another keyframe, go to 1 second, again create another keyframes, and in middle of this last 2 keyframes I'll bring them up to the over here and go to the start and bring them totally one up to here, and this one should be here. Now select both the keyframes and hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph, by holding shift move this handle over here, select this, move this handle over here, select this, zoom in a little bit, select this, move this handle over here, select this, move this handle over here, select this, move this one over here, select this and move this one over here like this. Okay, so now I'll select this one and I'll move to the 5 keyframes like this, hit U, And now we have the remaining stuff. I'll delete this one, we don't need that, it looks quite unnecessary. And then we will select this one and this one. I'll press R for rotation. Let's create one keyframe over here, zoom in, and I want this animations to up to 8 seconds only, so I'll make it one complete rotation over here like this. Okay, after that let's hide this coins with the lock this layer. And now we have to, let's delete this, we don't need that. Let's select all of them and I'll apply wiggle position effect on it like this. And then I'll press S for scaling option. Let's create one keyframe over here, go to around 25 frames, create another keyframe, go to the start, let's make this 0 and hit OK. Select all the keyframes, hit F9, go to the graph, select this graph, holding shift, move this handle over here like this. Okay, and let's bring this downwards, hit page down button, held, close bracket, right click, keyframe assistance, sequence layers, and hit OK. Zoom out and let's increase the duration of this one, so we will get one by one animation of each and every stuff. And if you want, then you can select these two coins and let's try to apply wiggle expression on them also, so we will get this kind of animation for this. Now let's lock this. Now I'll hit Ctrl N to create another composition. I'll call it as strip and I'll hit OK. I'll press Ctrl Y to create a solid background layer and I'll choose color around like this and I'll hit OK and hit OK. Press S, unlink this and let's decrease the size of it like this. Now select this shape layer, I don't want any stroke, so let's delete the stroke. And now I'm going to create one rectangle like this. Then press Ctrl Alt Home, go to the align tab, align it horizontally. Now select this, go to the add menu, go to the repeater like this, go to the repeater 1, go to the transform repeater 1, let's make the position 0 and at y-axis I'm going to increase the position of it and let's make the number of copies to 6 to let's say 5 like this. Okay, now go to the untitled one again, hit Ctrl 0 and I'll bring my strip comp over here and go to the effect and presets panel and search for CC cylinder like this and increase the scale like this. Go to the rotation and we will rotate it on, let's say, x-axis like this. Go to the strip, let's select this shape layer and make it apparent with the strip. Select the strip and let's decrease the size a little bit more and we will bring this thing over here. Let's make this a little bit like this. Select this, press S. Okay, and now what we will do, I'm going to select the strip and I'll bring the size of this one like this. So if I see over here, I'll get something like this. And now let's go to the start, let's go to the lighting portion and increase the lighting intensity of this one and go to the shading and increase the ambient like this. And if you want, then you can decrease the lighting too much and then you can increase the ambient like this. Okay, so now we have to animate the Y position of this one. So initially let's make this 0 and if you want it, let's make X rotation proper 10. Create one keyframe at Y rotation and hit U, go to around 8 seconds and let's make this 3. So now if I hit play, I'll get this kind of rotating animation. Let's focus on this one only, so I'll enable this icon and let's, instead of 3, I'll make it -10, so it will rotate a little bit of faster comparatively like this. Okay, now I'll select this and I'll hit Ctrl D. Now one which is at the top, I'll choose different color for this, let's say aqua. And in render, as you guys can see, it's full. I'll choose outside. Select the second one and in render I'll choose inside. And then what I'm gonna do is I'll select this, I'll go to the effect and presets panel and I'll apply fill effect on it. So we'll get this color over here and we are going to choose darker blue color over here. Okay, and now if I see this, I'll get this kind of rotation and hit U now and let's hide disable this option. And now we have this person illustration over here, so you can select both the strips. You can bring this over here. Let's see wherever we go. Let's see over here like this, both of them. Let's select over here. Now I'll select this strip which is in fill color, and I'll move this after this person, so this will come over here. Now see, if you want, you can select both of them, so we will get the, it will look like that it's rotating around this person. And you can bring this over here also if you want, so we'll get the proper rotating animation which is look like that it's going around this person. And if you want, then you can select this and you can decrease the size of this one, so we'll get proper stuff. Yep. And let's go to the strip first. Let's select this and press Y on your keyboard to select pen behind tool, and by holding Control, I'll snap this at the edge. Create one keyframe initially, go to around 1 second, create another keyframe, go to the start, and let's make this 0. Now select those keyframes and hit F9, go to the graph editor, select this graph, and holding shift we'll move this handle over here like this. So if I see, I'll get this kind of animation. Now we have one extra stuff over here which is constantly over here, so press S initially. Let's make it 0, create one keyframe, go few frame forward, let's make it 100 again like this, and select those keyframes and hit F9. Now let's go to the graph editor, select this graph, holding shift, let's move this handle over here, so we'll get this kind of stuff. And now we will apply wiggle effect on them also. And if I see this thing in my main animation comp, let's make this quarter resolution, we will get something like this. Okay, and press Ctrl Y and create one background, or you can choose whatever background you choose. I'll choose bluish color background, hit OK, and bring this over here, and I'll lock this layer, and I'll hit end somewhere around over here. So this is gonna be my final animation. Now we will learn what are the animation principles I have used for this animation. So there are 3 major principles I follow for my animations. Let's see. Slow in, slow out. If you guys are following my tutorials for the long time, then you should know that I'm a huge fan of graph editors. I always use graph editors in my every animation, and I did that here also to make my animation slow and fast wherever it needs. In this animation, I use this over here and over here and over here also, which help us to create more realistic approach towards our animations. Second principle is anticipation. If you see the starting animation of this person, it doesn't come right in front of you, it comes a little fast, then it becomes slow. Well, this kind of tricks animators use to excite the audience that something is going to happen in the scene, and that's what we call anticipation. Third rule is secondary action. If you notice properly in this animation, along with the arms, these hands are also animating. If you can see, the same situation is over the footwork of this animation. Now for this 7 seconds of animation, that wasn't necessary, but these are the small things that viewers' minds triggered indirectly, which help us to add more depth in our animations. Now these are the 3 principles I always follow for my animations. I'm sure there are much more principles are included in this animation, but these are the things that we need to focus on. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, and if you like this tutorial, then please consider to subscribe this channel and also hit the bell icon to get more updates. And if you want to create some more interesting animations like this, then check out these 2 videos. I'll see you in my next video. Until then, stay tuned.